Welcome to the first episode of Yankee Finn. Why Yankee Finn? This is the first episode, so I can describe things like that because it's brand new. Yankee Finn I put together because, I'm Yankee, American at least. Often if you're here, you use the Yankee East Coast, but if you're not here at all, if you're looking at American from a foreigner's perspective, then often Yankee can just be, American. So Yankee, we went with that because California's where I'm from. Finn, because heritage is actually Finnish, but it also would be English, Scottish, and Irish, and all that kind of mixed together to the north. But, Finn's a great part of it, so why not go with it? It was easier than doing Yankee, Finn, or Scotsman, Irishman, Englishman, Welshman, all that. So anyway, getting off topic here. What is this about? This is about discussing travel opportunities, well, not opportunities, but travel options. You're considering, where do I go in Europe or Asia or South America or in the world? You're from America, you want to go somewhere else. Where to go? How do I do it? Ideas. This is just ideas. Now, some of these places, if you're looking at this and you're from there, you're going to think, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. It's like all these other ideas I missed. Yeah, so this is for people that have no idea so far. They want to get out of town, out of the country, they want to get overseas. So, first thing I'm going to cover is my idea. If you've never been to Europe, and actually I think this was my first stop. I was going to Italy, but this was my first stop in Europe. Fell in love with the place, and I tell people, if you're going to travel and you're going to go, need a good first experience to kind of get your feet wet, go to London. London is perfect for this, and I have reasons why. So, first thing I think is the language is pretty easy to learn because you know English already. There's a few differences in UK English, but not that much. Q for line, lift for elevator. The first floor is the first floor up, not the first floor. That can be confusing, although we do use that sometimes here. It's very confusing often knowing where the first floor is. There's a few more, I don't want to say, racy. They're racy here, but they're not there, or they're okay here and they're not there. It's just that kind of stuff. Just go ahead and look up, because just word differences that are important to know. It could be embarrassing, but this time, the closest I'll come to saying rubber for eraser, but do we even use erasers that much anymore? Probably not. So those things to get out of the way, that can just be fun, or just have a fun time learning the hard way. Okay, so that's it. The currency, of course, is you're going to have to switch to the pound, but there aren't too many countries you can really go to where you're not going to have to do a currency switch, and it's not that hard. I recommend getting out a small amount of money first, so if you have like nickel and dime things you have to take care of, you have that in your pocket already. I just use ATMs, make sure it's a safe one, of course. There's always that risk, but if you're like at the bank or at one of those big banks, you're probably okay. Although I check the card, always grab the skimmer, make sure everything's okay. Never hurts to do something like that. So the pound is easy. The pound is also more expensive, so in general it's going to cost more than like many other countries. London is not cheap, but you can make it bearable. It doesn't have to be, or maybe you got plenty of money. This is a moot point anyway. That's something to consider. The transport system is top of the world, top of the line. It's just excellent. So you got the tube, you got trains, the airports, many airports to come into. If you can, I always recommend flying into City or Heathrow, because the connections to get into London are the easiest. But some people want to fly into those outer airports and then take trains in. It's a pain. It's cheaper often, but it can be a kind of a pain. So if you have that luxury, and again, don't be afraid to buy yourself an Oyster card. I'll cover transport in other episodes in more detail, but an Oyster card for the time you're going to be there. If it's a week, get it for a week, and then you're not going to have to worry about things. Handle your phone. They have a place called the Car Phone Warehouse. Go in there, get a like a SIM card for the week. It's like basically you have 500 minutes, 500 meg or something. I don't know what it is, but you get an awesome deal, and it's like the equivalent of $12. So you can go with your phone plan here and try and do it overseas, but they're always screwing it up for me, or it doesn't work over there even though I paid for it. So I just figured I'll just go in and pop out my SIM card, pop in a new SIM card. You have to make sure you have the right phone, but that's not too difficult, so that's worth it. It'll take about an hour of your time. Know where the place is that you want to go ahead of time, their hours, mix it with lunch or breakfast or something like that. and you'll be set for a week, because it's an easy city to also get lost in, just because tall buildings, especially at night. Where are you going? And your maps most of the time are on your phone. And if you don't have minutes or Wi-Fi, because you're going to be out in the streets, you're going to need the phone minutes. So that's really important. One of the takeaways, the most important takeaway, I think, is make sure you have data. I guess I think you probably not have to make many phone calls, but you are going to need data. So get that. There's lots of stuff to see and do. I cover that in other episodes. But museums, most of them are free. They'll take donations, and I recommend give back to the museum. It's always nice. And some of them they're free, but they have special paid exhibits inside where you can just do that, and that works for me. That's fair. Plenty of free ones. You have to know what you like. You like art, there's art museums, science museums, natural history museums, museums that deal with fashion. This trains everything. So knowing that ahead of time, researching your museums ahead of time can, prevent you from coming back and just thinking, I like war and I miss the Imperial War Museum. What can you do? But, go back again. If it's your first time, the day tour, the bus tours, hop on, hop off, that's great, because you kind of get an idea of everything that you might want to do during your time there or when you come back there. So those things, I know they sound touristy, but they're touristy in a good way. You can be a good tourist. Tourist doesn't have to be a bad word. I don't know why we kind of got to that point, but those are awesome things to do. Hop on, hop off. Bring an umbrella. It can be rainy. That's another thing about what time of year to go. It can be kind of warm during the summer, given the warm or the cold freezing rain, or it's just pouring down. I think I'd take the heat, because you can dress in a t-shirt and shorts, I suppose. But some people don't like shorts. That's a whole different thing. But the rain, pouring down rain, and that can happen. Well, it could happen any time of year, but September I find is kind of nice. In October, November, it starts sliding down. I think by the time you're in December and January, just my bones are always aching. Things hurt, and the rain's coming down. So it'd be very cheap that time of year, but that cold, for me, it hurts. Again, California, it hurts. So that's something to think about. The food, I think, is great. So many options for great food. There's so many options for bad food, of course, too. You have to kind of know what you're doing. I avoid fast food for the life of me, unless I just avoid it, really. Actually, I don't know if you have to ever get in that situation. Lots of more like inexpensive sort of international food places growing all over the place now. So there are places to get franchise food where it's a chain. But if you can do the mom and pop stores, the individual ones, so much the better, because you're supporting local business, and you get good experiences. Again, international. They got some of the best curry I've ever had was in Brick Lane. But you've got the French and the Italian, and the Wagamamas is a great place. I always recommend people pop into there and have a good meal. But it doesn't have to be expensive. And if you really can't spend money on food, you've got the Sainsbury and Tesco. You just want a little market, grab the stuff you like, and grab a beer, and hop out. Because going to the pubs, there's over 8,000. It gets expensive fast. Pint it can run 6 to 8 pounds, and that adds up really quickly. So, pub drinking, or just find the happy hours. If they got specials, definitely go get the special, because it gets expensive fast. If you like a lot of pints, you got to bring a lot of money. Definitely great people. People from all over the world actually are there, but of course, London is a huge mix of people. They're all, not all, but in general, I find them pretty nice. They're friendly. It's a big city, so you're not going to have people saying hello to you all day long, because no one will be able to get anywhere. You'd always be walking down the street, and thousands and tens of thousands of people, like millions really. If they all started to stop to say hello to every person, you can kind of see the problem here. So in small towns, in the morning, you're walking down the street in a quiet little town, sure, people say good morning, but once you're in it, it's the same way in San Francisco or New York. It's a big city, so people don't stop everywhere and say hi. Maybe sometimes if it's in like a place, alley or something, or it's just not a lot of people, sure, that could happen, and probably does. But I find in general, people are friendly, but just sort of a little standoffish, of course. They don't know you, and they don't know you. You don't know me. Other than that, I would say if you're stuck, people will come up and they say, hey, can I help you? Especially if you had a map. People don't have maps anymore, but they are looking at a map. Could be looking, and someone would come up, hey, can I help you find where you're going? And so that part's kind of cool. And if you ask someone for directions, there's a good chance they'll help you out. Again, big city, you can have really nice people, really mean people, but I find the trend seems to be more towards nice. It's a safe city. The crime is pretty low. Yes, things are happening in the world right now, some crazy people out there, but in general, 364 days of the year, you don't see anything, and even when it does, I mean, really your risks are greater if you got outside and drove to the supermarket for some bread and milk. There's a chance. Now, hopefully this never happens, but I'm saying your risks are actually pretty darn low. And you got to take some risks in life, but again, it's a very safe city overall. The crime is not high, and for the city of its size, things do happen, sure, but and there's ways to mitigate any risk, aside from not going, of course, but that's not a good option. So I'd say it's a fun city, lots of stuff to do. The theater as well. There's tons and tons of shows to see. That's a little bit of a hyperbole, but there's a lot of theater to check out. It's probably second only to Broadway, but you can see comedies and dramas and musicals and plays and symphonies and concerts. The Royal Ballet's there. There's just no limit really to entertainment there. So between the museums and the shows, there's just so many entertaining things in London. And there's free stuff too, of course. Sometimes it's entertaining just walking in the park. Lots of stuff to see and do. That should be enough reason. Again, first time getting out of the country, London, I'd give it 2 thumbs up because I just have so much fun when I go over there, and it's always something new and exciting to see. But then again, if I go to the old places I've been to before, I enjoy those as well. So London is my pick for the first city outside the US when you're traveling. What are you waiting for? Get online, go buy tickets. The flights are pretty cheap. And that's it. First episode, Yankee Finn. Hope you like it, and hope you check out more. Hope I have time to do more. I probably will, but who knows. If nothing else, I got one accomplished, and that is definitely something. Yankee Finn, checking out until next time. Happy travels.